Hey there, welcome to the garden. So I was just out here potting up a few containers this morning, some potted containers, this big raised bed planter here with some flowers, and I'm about to do my next container. Got a crow in the garden too. I'm about to do my next container, and I wanted to just come here, sit down, talk to you. If you are new to container gardening, or if you are struggling with your containers, we're gonna talk through a formula to basically get a perfect, beautiful container every time. So here's the steps that you need to take if you're feeling like, I don't know how to create a container that looks good, I don't know what to do. I've got you. We're gonna do this. So the first thing you need to think about is the size container, what container you have. Biggest thing you need is a container with a drain hole. So you can see there's a drain hole in this one. If you don't have a drain hole in your container, when you water it, when it rains, the water is gonna fill up in the bottom of your container, and then it's gonna be too much water for your plants, and they're going to kind of basically drown. It's not going to be good. So find a container that has a drain hole. Now, when it comes to the size of container, it depends, of course, on how much space you have, the area that you have. Bigger is typically better because it's going to give more space for your plants to grow. If you put them in too small container, it's going to be hard for your plants to take off and grow. You know, they're going to get bigger. Like if you have a 4-inch pot, they're going to get bigger than this pot throughout the season. They're going to take up a lot of this soil. Gosh, that crow is so loud. Sorry about that. So anyways, if you've got, like, we're going to do a container with 3 plants because odd numbers are good, and they're about 4-inch pot containers. So they're little garden center containers. So I'm going to go for, this is I believe an 18-inch diameter container. So plenty of room for all 3 of my plants to fit in here already in their nursery pots, and they each have about 2 inches or so around them that they can grow out. That's a good estimate, but just big enough that there's some room for your plants to grow. All right, next we're going to think about, again, the size of the plants. You can get big plants to start off in your container, but you don't need to. I think if you're a beginner, just go with some 4-inch size pots, because it gives your plants room to grow, again, unless you have an absolutely massive container that you are putting them into. You are going to fill this container now with some just good potting mix. So let's get some good container potting mix. Don't use garden soil, use container mix. It's specifically sized for container growing. That's gonna allow your plants to have the drainage and oxygen that they need while they're growing. And you're gonna go to the garden center and pick out a few plants. And again, we're gonna start with the 4-inch pots. Okay, there's gonna be a few things we're gonna need to think about when we're picking out our plants. One, how much sun do you have in the area where you're growing? If you have a shady area, then you need to pick shade plants. This may sound obvious, but I'm just gonna say it. If you have a sunny area, you need to pick full sun plants. And if you have an area that's like sunny in the morning, but shady in the afternoon, or vice versa, you wanna look for plants that can handle like what they call part shade, part sun. Now, you can look up the specifications, like how many hours of sun, you know, those each say, but good rule of thumb, just look at, you know, do you have full sun? Is it sunny all the time in your garden pretty much? Is it shady all the time pretty much? Or is it half and half? And then go to your garden center and look for plants that have those requirements. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna follow the thriller, spiller, and filler formula. So we're gonna look for one plant that is nice and tall. This is a Mystic Spires salvia. It's a beautiful blue flowering salvia. It's going to grow to be about 18 to 24 inches tall, about 12 to 18 inches wide. So for my 18-inch pot, that's gonna be really perfect. You can grow the plants that get up to 4 feet, 5 feet, 6 feet if you want, like one of those really big, I don't know, like the amaranth that I have, it's gonna be 6 feet, but you're gonna need a much bigger container. So I would say a plant that gets about, you know, for this 18-inch pot, then like the 18, 24, I could even probably go to 30-inch tall thriller plant, thriller because it's the big star of the show, is gonna be about appropriate, but I won't wanna get too much bigger than that because I don't want the plant to get so big that it doesn't fit in the pot. So look at the diameter of your pot. You can go, you know, 5, 10 inches taller, but nothing more than that. look at the color that you've got. This is blue. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna look for contrasting colors on the color wheel, and we're gonna look for just different colors pretty much. So I've got the beautiful blue. I want to have a salvia. It's a nice long blooming annual. So we're going to go for annual flowers, big long blooming flowers. Beautiful. I'm going to pick something opposite on the color wheel here with this really pretty orange calibrachoa. Now this is going to be my spiller. So while my thriller is going to grow up tall and beautiful, this is going to spill over the sides of my container. Is this not a gorgeous plant? This is the Super Bell's Dreamsicle. It's going to be a really beautiful flowering plant. It's going to flower all season. Again, another just stunning annual, and it's going to grow over the sides. So opposite colors, opposite shapes, and opposite sizes, right? So this one, I think it's going to be about, let's see, it's also going to go maybe, like it says 12 inches max, so it's going to be a little smaller. It's just going to grow over the side and spill nicely. So once you've got the two, you got the plant that you want to spill over the side, and you've got the plant that we want to go nice and tall. We've got those on opposite sides of the container. Then we're going to pick one more plant. We're going to go for a 3-plant container, and this one is going to be the filler. So this is a plant that you want to look for something that's in between the two sizes, that's not so tall, and let me move, the sun's coming up. We've got a sunrise. It's not going to be as tall as your thriller, so we want to go a step down, something shorter, but we also don't want something that has that like spilling vining habit. Your spiller, we want to be kind of like a vine that's going to grow over the edges and fall over the sides. This, we want something that's going to be in between the heights, and it's just going to kind of fill out in the middle. So this is actually a Linarium. It's a crown jewels. It's 14 inches tall. So where this can get up to 30, this is going to be 14, exactly half. That's going to be nice. It's another annual, so we're just going to do all annuals for your first container and getting started in the summer. We just want things that are going to bloom all summer long, so we're just going to stick with summer annuals. That's the easiest way to go. And this has these really pretty delicate flowers. So this is again where we're going to go for the opposite in shape. So we've got, you know, the different shapes as far as the vine and the tall thing. And these are kind of, you know, the salvia has kind of big, bold leaves. So now we're going to go for something delicate. I like something kind of airy and delicate for your filler flower, the middle height plant. You could do, oh gosh, why can't I think of the name? I could do something like a euphorbia that has like a really pretty little white flowers, can be a good filler. I'm trying to think of some other ones that might be nice fillers for you. Even like my Kufia could kind of be like a filler plant. There's some interesting things, but just look for a delicate kind of different shape than the other two. And again, that we're gonna go for a different color. So now I'm not so worried about being opposite on the color wheel, but I am looking at the tones. So if I had a really pastel sort of colored spiller or thriller, maybe I would go for a more pastel, but we're kind of doing jewel tones. So just pick something that's the same sort of tone and it's gonna look good color-wise. They can be kind of similar colors, but as long as we're doing jewel tones here, so we want these big, bright, bold colors, or a white. If you're feeling like, I don't know, just pick a white euphorbia, and that'll usually set off whatever you got in the garden too. Okay, so let me show you how these three look together. So we've got the salvia. Once this is blooming, you'll be able to get a better idea, but salvia is gonna go in the back of the container here. Then we've got this, like, these beautiful filler, and then the other third, we're just gonna do the calibrachoa, the Super Bells. The nice thing about doing a container with just 3 plants is you don't have to really worry about which one's gonna go where. You're just gonna give each of them a third of the pot. So let me fill this up with potting soil, and then we'll get it all planted in. Give yourself about a 1-inch lip, because when you water your container, you don't want to have so much soil in it that soil starts spilling off the sides with the water. Now make a hole in 1/3. Take your plant out of the container. You can see this one was really ready to be potted up. You don't have to worry too much about the roots. If it's root bound, you know, if there's tons and tons of roots, you can see you don't have to worry too much, but just peel a few back so that it doesn't get stuck. And then plant it in 1/3. Take your filler. Loosen up these roots a little bit. Just a little gentle tears in the corner is all. Put it next to the thriller. And then the front third, we're gonna put our spiller. And there we go. You're gonna press it down to make sure that you don't have any air pockets. If you need to add a little more potting soil at this point, you can. And there it is, your beautiful container. How pretty is that? It's going to continue to grow and change as the season goes. That salvia is going to get bigger, but already it's looking nice. So I am going to water it in, make sure that there's water draining out the bottom through the drain hole. And then once a week, I'm going to come in with a little water soluble fertilizer, just following the directions on the back. And I'm going to water it with that, because the annuals do like to have a lot of nutrients to grow and flower throughout the season. They are big plants, and they want to have tons and tons of blooms. They need lots of nutrients for that. So if you have a water soluble fertilizer that you can go ahead and give it every week, just follow directions on the back of this fertilizer packet. But that's going to make a big difference as far as the performance of your container. And that's it. That's how you create a beautiful container every time. Pick the colors that you like. As long as you've got some contrast, as long as they're within the same family, they're going to be beautiful. And what matters is that it's your garden and it's the colors that you like. And it's part of the process. Every so often you're gonna have plants that don't do so well together. You're gonna learn the combinations that you like. But as long as the sun requirements are right, as long as the sizes make sense, and the shapes are the thriller, filler, and spiller, it's probably gonna work out just fine, and it's gonna look gorgeous. So I hope this helps if you are new to container gardening. I know a lot of the people that follow me are already gardeners. You may know all of this, but if you don't, or maybe it's just a good refresher. But if you're new to the garden, yeah, I hope that this helps you get a container garden started. It is so fun to have any kind of plants or gardens or containers or anything in your space. It just really makes life fun. So thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned to see how this container continues to grow throughout the season.